Bryan Kohberger, the man accused of killing 4 University of Idaho students, has been receiving love letters. That's right, you heard it right, and a lot of them. And all of them are from one woman. A Facebook user named Brittany J. Hislop says that she's been writing and mailing Kohberger about a letter a day since his arrest on December 30th. In fact, she calls Kohberger her, quote, perfect man, and regularly discusses her obsession with Kohberger on Facebook. In fact, in one recent post, she wrote, quote, Bryan is being kept isolated from other inmates, and so I do know that we do both likely sleep alone. And I don't mean that I reach out to him to receive anything back at all from him, but since I do that from a place of caring about him, sharing my feelings, and know what a serious situation he's in, but it's understandable how I wonder how he feels about me. Now, she claims that she's a single mom in Kentucky, but Newsnation hasn't been able to independently confirm if she's, in fact, a real person. Now, I should tell you that that profile has existed since January 2019, so it's not like this is somebody who just started the page after the Idaho murders. And she does talk about things that are local to Kentucky. So I want to bring in a special guest. I want to bring in Dr. Robi Ludwig. She is a psychotherapist and the author of the book, Till Death Do Us Part, Love, Marriage, and the Mind of the Serial Spouse. Doctor, it's great to see you. Thanks so much for coming on.
Great to be here.
Surprised, not surprised, that this is not the first time we've seen this, right? We've seen it with Ted Bundy. We've seen it with Charles Manson. What is the obsession with these kinds of defendants? I mean, is it the danger of it? Is it the fame of it? Why do people get attached?
Well, they are famous, infamous, and I think there's a confusion there. And there's something about a dangerous man that can be appealing to some women. And there's a seductiveness there with many of these men in prison, so they can be very charming. The advantage of pursuing somebody who is behind bars is you don't have to deal with them in real life. So they can't frustrate you. There are bars that separate you from them. So they won't leave socks on the ground, dirty dishes in the sink. They're more of a fantasy in reality.
Well, here's more of what she has to say about him. So she says, if anyone ever says that I can't be sexually attracted to my love interest, Bryan, as well as genuinely care about his well-being at the same time, I know for a fact that they're wrong, since I feel both of those things for him. And although I'm sexually attracted to him, I also wish I had a significant mutual bond that isn't just based on sex. By the way, this is someone who's never met him, and the only reason she even knows who he is because of the horrific crimes that he's accused of. So the reason I ask you that is because it seems to me, you mentioned fame. If she's also not just writing him, she's posting on Facebook, right? She doesn't have to do that. If she really loves him, she just send him the notes. Doesn't it seem she's trying to get something out of this?
Well, they've done studies, and millennials, what they want most is fame. So she could be seeking fame for herself. But when I saw this, I also thought of a love addict, right? And love addicts often have fantasy relationships with somebody who's not really available to them. They project all of their wishes onto this man, and it doesn't need to happen in reality. They have a relationship in their own mind, and it's very powerful.
Can I read you another one?
Sure.
I feel like I have to read you another one. So here's another one of her posts, quote, I wrote Bryan a letter nights ago that was at least 4 pages long. I've written him another letter that is 3 pages front and back and almost another full page, as well as another letter that is 2 pages front and back. I already mailed out the one that I mentioned nights ago that I wrote, and I wish that I had more peace of mind about him receiving them. It wouldn't be right or fair if he didn't receive them because someone interfered, even if I stayed within the rules of what's allowed to be said in letters to an inmate. My gosh, doctor. I mean, I'm not trying to make light of it. This is a sad situation in my mind. And the question, I mean, what did you make of that? Caring about if he gets the letters?
Yeah, well, she does care. I think she's trying to ensure that he will, or at least knows about them, and how much time she spent investing in him. She clearly wants him to know that. And so she's going about it in a somewhat clever way because we're talking about it on national news.
We are, because it's so outrageous. And like I said, we see this a lot. I'm not going to lie to you. The first time he got arrested, I thought this was only a matter of time because I've seen it a lot.
Yeah.
And just to tell you one other thing, she is a single mother of a 16-year-old son. Again, I don't mean to judge anybody, but is this someone who should be a caregiver?
Well, she clearly needs treatment, right? We don't know
You believe
how.
that?
Oh, absolutely, because she has an addiction and an obsession that's not healthy for her, regardless of who she's choosing. I mean, clearly choosing a murderer just is an example of that. We don't know how this person is as a mother, but no, it'd be better if she were well.
Do you think that this is a situation where, you know, people might look at this and jump on it and do the same thing? I mean, I don't know.
I think there's a certain personality type, somebody who comes from maybe a violent background, likes the idea of choosing someone who's dangerous but being safe at the same time because
Yeah.
they don't have to be with them. So it's a certain type that's drawn to this situation.
Right.
Not everyone.
I'm
Thank
curious
God.
if he writes back. That's what I'm going to wait
Yeah.
to see. Dr. Ludwig, thank you so much for
What
coming
if
on.
he rejects her? That would be odd.
I'll have you back on. We'll talk about it.